What's up everyone, Joe Gray here today to talk about cable attachments for leg day. Now, while I love cable attachments, I do not believe that they have to do everything in your program. I still squat heavy and deadlift heavy and carry things, and I do a number of lower body accessory movements with the various machines and specialty bars and things I have in my gym. And I like to accessorize and add in some supplemental movements by means of cable attachments. I have tried cable attachments for things like seated calves, it didn't work. Tib raises, it didn't work. I even tried out a box that was promising to give me belt squats and RDLs and different things, and that didn't work out very well. So today we're going to focus on 4 cable attachments that I use regularly in my gym and skip everything else. In case you didn't know, this video is part of a series where I'm digging deep into cable attachments. We started off with the 5 I believe you should start off with for your own home gym, and then we are digging deep into the best of the best cable attachments for each muscle group. If that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next videos. Some quick housekeeping items for you. Some of these attachments I bought myself, some were sent to me for free, some I have a discount code and affiliate link, and others I have nothing. To keep it simple, we're simply going to say at the end of this video, if you want to pick up anything I mentioned today, you can do so with the links in the description. Those will potentially give me a kickback, but altogether support the channel and cost you nothing extra. So I appreciate your support. Let's get into some cable attachments. We're going to start off with the good old-fashioned ankle cuff. I mentioned this in the first 5 video. Ankle cuffs not only give you the ability to train some shoulders and stuff, but also open up the door for leg day with your cable machine. Now, you can do a whole host of movements with these, such as leg extensions work decently okay. I would rather use a leg developer myself, but this works. Leg extensions on the cable machine are better than no leg extensions at all. You can also do some of my favorites, which we're going to talk about in a bit, around hamstring development. I have a different cable attachment I believe works better for that. But ankle cuffs work exceptionally well for one area, and that is for the abduction and glute kickback type movements. Even as a power lifter, somebody focusing on bigger and badder lifts on the platform, I still perform some of these booty building type exercises on a fairly regular basis. Stronger hips and stronger glutes can translate over to a bigger deadlift and squat. Not to mention, keep your hips happy, and happy hips means a happy low back and potentially knees. Plus, who doesn't like a better butt? Now, the way that I like to perform these is simply hook up your ankle cuffs and attach them to the lowest setting of your adjustable cable column. You're going to potentially need to raise yourself up a little bit to get the right movement. It really is going to depend on the height of your cable column itself in the lowest setting. But what we want is we want one stable leg. We want the moving leg to be able to travel behind that leg, which gives us a really good stretch in that outer glute and hip. And then we're going to drive up and out. And when we are kicking out, I like to focus on what feels more like a 45-degree angle, so it is not back or directly to the side, but somewhere in between. That 45-degree angle seems to really hit the glute minimus very well, which is an often missed aesthetic piece to a well-developed backside. As much as possible, we always want to increase the stability of the movement. So if you can, hold on to a rack or a bench or something like that, and that'll help you get out those last couple of reps as well. I have tried some fancier ankle cuffs that have more D-rings and straps and things like that, and did not enjoy them. I felt that it did not add anything to the puzzle, and they just got in the way, and they were more expensive. So instead, I would say simply grab a good pair off of Amazon with good reviews, or buy one from a company that maybe you're already going to buy another thing from already. Number two is a little bit of a bougier option for the ankle cuff. This is going to be a little bit better specifically for the hamstring dominant movements. I will go with the IPR Glute Kickback Pro. Now, this piece wins compared to the ankle cuff for a couple of reasons. One is that it straps around the foot and behind the heel. That heel allows us to get a much stronger movement in these exercises as opposed to strapping in around just above the ankle. On top of that, the IPR strap has this extra piece that changes the line of sight of the movement, which makes sure that you do not run into the cable, and also creates a little bit more stretch potential for us in some of these movements. So you can use these straps for a standing leg curl, a seated leg curl, or even a lying leg curl. I will choose my leg developer for the lying leg curl, but I actually think I might like this standing leg curl and seated leg curl variations as my two favorite options in my gym, despite everything else I have available. For the standing leg curl, after getting hooked up into the cable machine, taking a couple of steps back, I start off by bending over at the hips. The hamstrings flex the knee and extend the hips. So by putting a bend in your hips, not the low back, but the hips themselves, you get a pre-stretch in that hamstring, much like you would in a seated leg curl machine. You then focus on flexing that knee back. What I typically do is I let the knee hyperextend just a little bit coming forward, which will give us a little bit more stretch on that hamstring, and then forcefully come back to get a little bit more stability in that leg so it's not just free floating. I typically push the standing leg into the working leg to give me just a little bit more stability, and you have a really good standing leg curl variation. This is one that if you have not done it before, I promise you, you're going to be cursing my name. Your hamstrings will probably cramp up on you. The second one that you're gonna do is a seated leg curl variation. I perform this on my FT2 seated on my bench, and because the FT2 has dual low cables, I'm able to hook up both legs. If you have something like my buddy CJ does over on Instagram, where you can actually put a pad over your knees to hold you down, I would recommend you do what he does, which is hook up to a high cable of some kind. That way you get a nice stretch in the hamstrings at the top and then forcefully flex down. I do not have that option currently, so I am not currently doing it, but it might be something I look into in the future, depending on how my rack setup ends up here soon. If you only have a basic cable tower, if you only have one low cable, you can get creative here as well. You can use a daisy chain to hook up both legs at once, or you can simply do one leg at a time. Either way, similar concept. We want to bend forward at the waist, make sure that is in the hips. That way we get a pre-stretch in the hamstrings. As much as possible, increase stability by either holding onto the bench or using something to hold yourself down, and get to work. The only downside I have for the IPR straps is that they come in two different sizes. They list on the website the men's and the women's. This is factual. When I first got the pair, I ordered the men's. My wife went to go use them and mentioned that they did not fit. It's kind of annoying that you can't adjust them in any way to make multiple size athletes work. Considering how expensive they are, that is quite the ask. So if you have multiple people, you may decide to just stick with the ankle cuffs. If you're the only one using it, this might be a worthy investment. Maybe you'll luck out and you and your spouse are very similar sizes and you only need one set. I don't know what you're working with there, but be forewarned, you definitely need different sizes for different sized athletes. There are a handful of exercises that really don't work in a cable setup for larger athletes. Myself, I have squatted 405 for 10 plus reps before. Trying to replicate that in a cable machine is pretty difficult. No matter how many gym pins and extra 45s I toss on there, it's just not gonna happen. But split squats is another discussion. Split squats are already pretty nasty with dumbbells and things like that. Get ready to have an even nastier situation with cables. I have been using the Ripped by Rosenblatt squat harness for quite a while now. You may have seen it in the K-Box review video I did. This thing is built like a tank. You can actually use it for deadlift variations and hooking up to a trap bar and stuff. So if you happen to tear a bicep, you could use it for something like that. If you're a smaller athlete, you could probably hook it up and do some good mornings or some squats in your cable machine. I can use it for two things. Split squats, which we're going to talk about first. So split squats, I pull my booty sprout into my FT2, I hook up the harness, get set, and then clip in as needed and get to work. This is a very constant tension exercise, which is very brutal. You can play with where you set up and have it pull you back a bit more, down a bit more, that kind of thing, depending on how you want it to feel on your quads and your hips and glutes and stuff. Split squats, if you're not aware, are a fantastic exercise, whether you are a powerlifter who spends most of the time squatting with 2 feet. Unilateral exercises can keep us in one piece. Or if you are a hypertrophy focused person, split squats will quickly develop the quads, the adductors, hip musculature, and all kinds of stuff. Or if you're just an athlete trying to, again, stay in one piece, move better, whatever it might be, running and jumping and all kinds of stuff are often single leg movements. So being able to strengthen all of that in one exercise is a fantastic piece. I typically toss these in after my heavy squats, so I squat heavy in the rack and then come on over here, load it up, and I get a nice deep stretch in the supporting leg, as well as get a full range of motion and move a ton of blood into the working leg. So some tips and tricks for you. Make sure you are pushing through on that front foot on all parts of the foot. A lot of us tend to be either kind of heel dominant or maybe front toe dominant. Make sure you're balanced as much as possible. I tend to be on my toes more because I have tight Achilles, so I focus on pushing my heel into the ground. With the back leg, make sure you are flexing that one as well and trying to push it into whatever pad you have. That way you create more stability in that back leg, which should keep you more balanced and kind of connect everything into one. The other exercise you can perform this one is calves. So standing calf raises, you simply need to throw whatever calf block of choice you have into your cable machine, toss the squat harness on, and get to work. This is a great alternative to loading up a barbell and a rack that can be a bit wobbly. So good dual use piece for both the quads as well as the calves. The only negative I have with the squat harness is that there is a lot going on. Because it can do so many things, there's a lot of buckles and straps and different things all over the place. The good news is that one, they are consistently working on improving it. I believe they are on version 3 as of taping this. They have made significant improvements to not only the strength of all of the pieces, but also the kind of usability factor of it. And if for some reason you get it and you're still just very confused, you can reach out to the owner. I connected with him on Instagram, and he did a quick Zoom call with me to make sure everything was set up correctly, that I knew how to connect it into my cable machine, and I was gonna get the most out of it possible. So highly recommend the squat harness if you want to make split squats even worse than they already are, or train some calves out of your cable machine as well. All right, the last one is something I've been looking for a long time. I've wanted to train my adductors, which is the inner thigh muscles, directly in my home gym for a while. I wanted to replicate that good girl, bad girl machine that you see in the gym, but to no avail. So I recently grabbed a pair of 1MR Titan cuffs. These are like if you take ankle cuffs and supersize them, gave them their protein, whatever you want to come up with. These are meant to fit around larger body parts. So big biceps or the calves or even potentially thigh musculature of some athletes. The way I have been using them is that I connect them just underneath my knee, strap them into the functional trainer adjustable cable columns, sit on my bench, and then allow that to spread me open and get a good stretch in the adductors as I then close tight with the good girl, bad girl movement and squeeze that adductor. This is an exercise I've been missing from my routine for a long time and will likely be keeping this in the rotation for the foreseeable future. Now, you may be asking, why would you train your adductors directly? From a bodybuilding perspective, we're looking for that 3D look on our legs. You can see guys like Tom Platz and a lot of the more recent bodybuilders have that look. It really thickens out the overall appearance of the upper thigh. If you're an athlete, training your adductors directly can help you avoid adductor and groin strains, which is a very common sidelining injury. From a powerlifting stance, if you are a sumo lifter, deadlifter, or even just in general squatting and stuff, again, keeping a balance of the strength and muscle size of your musculature throughout your body is something that very likely can keep you in one piece longer. And the more you can stay in one piece, the more you can train and the more you can get stronger. If you want another variation, you can hike your cable column up and do a one-legged variation. You could also do these one-legged and seated and all around mix it up and play around with this. This is a new one in my rotation, so if you come up with any tips or tricks by doing this, please share, or maybe you have a better way of training your adductors directly. Drop it in the comments and let all of us know. And that, my friends, are the 4 cable attachments that I am using regularly in my home gym and think you should check out for yours as well. What do you think? Did you find a new cable attachment today for your space? Are you gonna skip all these or maybe just stick with the ankle cuffs? Maybe you have a better solution that I haven't seen or thought of. Let us know in the comments below. And remember, if you want to grab any of the items I mentioned today, I will have links in the description. Also in the description, depending on when you watch this, will be the other videos that are part of this cable attachment series, so make sure you check those out as well. If you want to make sure you don't miss anything coming your way, articles, reviews, training tips, garage gym competition updates, sneak peeks and behind the scenes details, even free money and different stuff I give away to people, it's all in the newsletter that I put out every 2 weeks. You can sign up for that in the description as well. And with that, I'm about to go train legs. I know what cable attachments I'm going to use. So I will be back with more home gym awesomeness for all of you very soon.